working in the spirit of the Golden Empire. Now, from Kern Golden Empire Television, 17 News at 5.
And welcome back to our 17 studios. Jim Scott with Robin Mangren, and joining us tonight in studio for some analysis, Jess Nieto and Kathy Abernathy. We heard the president outline his plans for reforming immigration here in this country, basically a 5-point program that starts with securing the border.
And Dr. Nieto, let's start with you. You have problems with this plan.
I think that there are some problems with it. I think that, first of all, the tendency to give in to the extreme right wing of the Republican Party, at least in some sectors of our community, makes it look like he's given in to some extreme kind of measures, that this can lead to a militarization of the border area and could conceivably lead to some escalation of really hot emotional kinds of feelings at the moment.
Is there anything that you liked about what the president had to say today?
Yes, definitely. I think that he has addressed something that the House of Representatives never did, and that is a comprehensive piece of legislation that would aim to create a guest worker program that hopefully would be fair, and also a path to legalization of people who have already been here, who have worked here, contributed here. And I think those are good aspects of the program.
We might mention here also Jess Nieto is Executive Director of Heritage of America Educational and Cultural Foundation. And of course, this lady's no stranger, Kathy Abernathy, who is a GOP political consultant. Do you think that this idea to put the guard down on the border is coming from the extreme right, or do you think there is broad support among members of both sides of the aisle for this to be at least a starting point?
Oh, this is strongly supported by the vast majority of American people. I disagree with the comment that it's far right-wing people. This is securing our borders. This is something that the public feels strongly about, and they won't support changes to any kind of guest worker program until we get some control over the open spew of illegals that are coming in. It's hard to take seriously a guest worker program when there is no program to control who's coming in. I particularly like to hear the president say that, sure, those, the most manageable thing for the people that are here illegally is to put them on the path if they pay their taxes and don't have a criminal background. But at the same time, they're getting back of the line, not front of the line, to all the people, like my family that spent 20, 30, 40 years waiting in line trying to get into this country.
But some critics question the timing of this plan, the president's low job performance ratings, the growing tide of protest over calls to criminalize illegal immigrants. Why this plan at this time?
Well, I think it's long overdue. I think that part of the reason the president's numbers are low is because he's waited too long. The demonstrations were, current events, but you saw a lot of that was kids getting out of school and a lot of organized union activity in that, really. But it is important to do. I'm glad he's doing it. Whatever prompted him is healthy, and it's important this country face this discussion. There's a right way to do this. We can tackle this, and we can do it right for people, particularly the people that have been waiting in line, following the rules that we pretty much make fools of when we sit here and watch others come in and somehow think they're okay, but the rest of you can wait 20 years.
Now, perhaps we've gotten past the point where we're having this discussion over the bill that was passed in the House of Representatives that would make felons out of every illegal immigrant in this country. Do you think we're past that point, or do you think that there's still some chance that we might see that? I don't see that bill becoming law.
I hope that we're past it, and I think one of the very healthy things of our democratic society is that there was in actuality a new civil rights movement that this society gave birth to. And I think that really made the political arena take notice. And I think that was very healthy. And I also think that the reality is that President Bush was criticized by members of his own party on this particular effort to try and use a National Guard, because they say there's not enough National Guard to go around to take care of the war in Iraq and also take care of this border problem.
The president mentioned the need for immigrants to learn English and to assimilate into American culture if they become citizens. Do you object to any of that?
I think that this has been part of the citizenship process. We have had a citizenship program since the late 80s, and learning English and learning citizenship, learning the political values of this country is fundamentally important. There shouldn't be any problem with that. The only thing that I think is important is that different cultural groups, in a spirit of cultural pluralism, ought to be able not to forget their own culture, their own language, and so forth. But yes, learning English and learning the political values is very important.
Now, the president tonight, he didn't mention the criminalizing of illegal immigrants. In fact, he distanced himself from that issue itself. Does that have the potential for driving a deeper wedge within the GOP? You've got the conservatives on the far right who are slamming their fist down on the table saying, this is illegal, these people should pay, and this is a way that we can get them deported. Everybody understands that's not practical. But is this a wedge issue for the GOP?
No, I think what you have is, I think the biggest issue to the Republican philosophy is get control of the border. Once he does that, you're going to see a lot of the rest of this fade away into, okay, you got control, which none of us had faith that anybody was going to do. And then what's a formal, fair program for a guest worker? So I don't think you'll need all that as long as they see a real serious effort to get control of the border. Most people haven't had faith that the U.S. government will do that job. Once they see that job, and I'll take exception here as well, what's our National Guard for? You know, we have them, and he's going to work with the state's governors to get the forces down there, and they're going to be doing not military work, they're going to be using technology.
What do you make of the current effort to demonize the idea to put troops on the border and to militarize our border? Why are they trying to demonize us?
I think people that express that argument just want Bush to fail. I think that's the only reason they do it, and I think that people that are looking for the worst in this are not people that really want to see it work well for both for immigrants that are coming in legally and for the people in Mexico who really do want to come here and work. If you want to make it work, there's a way to make it work, but you can also name call.
And he did distinguish the roles, Dr. Nieto, between what the National Guard would be doing, which would be intelligence analysis and surveillance of some of the high-tech equipment, and leaving the law enforcement aspects to the Border Patrol. Do you agree with that?
That's correct. He did make that distinction, and I think that's an important one. But once again, you know, we're looking at a situation where the definition of the National Guard is historically used not for those kinds of things. That's a federal kind of a responsibility. And to try and use this for state efforts to try and fortify the border, I think it sends the wrong message. And once again, members of his own party took a great deal of effort to criticize this effort.
But is that a deal breaker? Do you think sending the National Guard troops, should we throw the baby out with the bathwater?
No, I don't think it has to be an element that can break the whole process down. I still think that the two very important elements of this are the guest worker program and the legalization path to the people already here.
So a good first step for the president, Dr. Nieto?
It could be. It could be. But I think that we need to be careful and pay close attention, because I think that there do exist possibilities that this could escalate, unfortunately.
The president did say tonight, if you listen to his words, the National Guard are in there temporarily while we gear up. He's asking also for 3,000 new Border Patrol. So those people have to be trained to handle the job that the Border Patrol does. And in the interim, this is a phase-in. Something to do immediately, though, to get control of our border.
Well, we hear Speaker of the State Assembly today, Fabian Nunez, says this is wrong to militarize the border, that we need to add more Border Patrol agents. But what he doesn't admit there is that there's a timeline there, and it'll take several years to gear up and beef up the border. So does this make sense as an interim approach?
If it's an interim, short-term approach, it could work. But I think that from a long-term perspective, that we have to be cautious and take a very close look at this.
Kathy Abernathy, got the last word if you like.
Well, I just want to remind folks, if you were in line to go in to see Mission Impossible 3 right now, and you stood in line for an hour and 50 people rushed up to crowd in front of you, would you stand there and say, go right ahead? You know, this is something our country has to face and get a handle on. And everything else, I believe, will work out fine, because you can work out a good amnesty program. But we got to get control of the massive problem that's down there first.
GOP political consultant Kathy Abernathy and Jess Nieto, the executive director of Heritage of America. We want to thank you both for coming in tonight. with your insight.
Thank you.
President Bush's plan to beef up border security with National Guard's troops is getting mixed reviews from some of your neighbors tonight. 17 Sandra Gonzalez